Okay, so thanks for joining today to this session. So our session is mainly related to creating a new mock server, brand new one, in just maybe 45, 50 minutes. And we have a case study. I will explain that case study as well. And we will be using Node.js and some libraries, popular libraries used in Node.js. So the case study here is, let's assume, so I'm coming from e-commerce actually domain. So I selected an example from this domain. So let's say you are running a platform, e-commerce platform. You can just assume that it is very similar to Amazon or Walmart. And of course, you will be having many partners working with you. You will be having some the main platform that you are running, but also you have some integration with your partners. And every time you are working with a new partner, integrations will be a pain point. So in the very beginning, everything will be in theory spec'd out, but when it comes to practice application, things are not working as expected. So the case study here is beforehand, just before the deployment on your end, you would want to create a mock server, and you can test everything against this server, including performance and functionality, so that when it comes to launch time or integration testing time, you will see the problems beforehand. So in e-commerce in general, we have some user-facing services like website or application, as you know, some product description pages that you can see product details, some configurator with additional configurations like selecting the color, memory, and everything, right? Little more complicated than product description pages. And when you select decide on the product, you can add the product to cart, and also you can move to checkout. You can add all your payment option, delivery options, and etc. And finally, you can create your order. From the backend side, there are some services supporting those flows. Your data will be in catalog. You will be providing some inventory details, availability details, and also delivery options from your backend. Price can change time to time. There might be some offers also. Depends on the customer's profile. It can be employee account. It can be a discounted account, something like that. Your price can change. Shopping cart is, again, a backend service supporting cart and checkout. Payment options, there are many will be arbitrations in payment service also. Order management system after placing the order. And finally, to fulfill the order, there should be a fulfillment service. So most of the backend services will be interacting with the partner, and we will be seeing some data on the front end as well. So, for example, the product description page can can show some delivery options from your partner. Here, I narrow down the scope into only pickup partner. So you are just placing one order from your e-commerce platform, and the customer can pick it up from partner store. For example, that might be any popular store. So for example, your e-commerce can integrate itself with Walmart, and customers can pick up the item from Walmart. This is an example. So to do so, we have store info. Definitely, this is needed from partner side. We need to have this information in our backend services. That one would be one-time ingestion because stores are not changing frequently. Inventory details should be coming from partner service again, and availability. Inventory is just a static information, product information, but when it comes to availability, it is more dynamic. Depends on your postal code, your the preferred store or timing. The items may be available or may not be available. So this is the critical part. So your e-commerce platform will be querying availability every time the customer wants to pick up the item, or if you want to show the availability to customer on the front end side. And after selecting the items and selecting pickup option, there should be another step called reservation to make sure that your item will be waiting for you for some time after placing the order. And finally, when everything is going well with the order management system, the order passed the fraud check, payment is good, and it is good to drop the order to your partner. It becomes sales order, and it will be also part of this flow. So in this session, I will be only including availability, reservation, and sales order part. So others can be also integrated, but they are, as I said, mainly static data. One-time ingestion should be enough. You may not need any API integration, even with your partner. Okay. So so far, do you have any questions?
One question here. As far as I see, this is the picture of the flow that is not including the identification and authentication, right? So this is not going to be account-based since we don't have the authentication here, right?
Okay, this is a good question. Actually, I will be coming there. So this is very high-level architecture, and also it is very limited version of it. So I recently worked on a similar project. So the API specification document is around 100 pages. So there are many use cases, pickup, home delivery, different payment options, different services, for example, installation. If you are purchasing a home appliance product, it will be haul away service also. So remove the product from the house. Also installation would be part of it. So there are many things, but I try to keep this as minimal as possible. But authentication will be covered here definitely. We will be coming there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So starting from the customer here, customer wants to purchase the product. So the first call is here. As I said, this is live or real-time call, availability call. So we will be getting all the availability options by store ID here. The call can be by postal code, or it will be by store ID. You may have some preferred stores. But when it comes to here, we need to enhance this data with store information, store data. For example, we may not need to get all the store name and store location, geolocation, or open hours from this API response, but we may need to add them here in our local system. So when we send this to customer is choosing, let's say, a store pickup option. Next step is, as soon as the order is placed on the backend, on the front end side, we are calling this reservation API to reserve our product so that the item may not be sold to any other customer at the store. So this is very critical. If this step is missed, customer may not see or have the product available when he visits the store. So next step is, as I explained, so there are a couple of checks for the orders. If everything is good, like fraud check, payment related things, if everything is good, we are placing the order, posting the order to our partner, and finally we are asking for all the order status updates, like if the order is ready for pickup, if the promise date for the orders has changed, or if the item is not picked up yet, there would be a reminder from the partner side. All of them will be order status update from our partner. So again, this will be scoped out from in this session. So which tools will you be using for that? Node.js, of course, as I explained. So there are many reasons to use that, but the best features or advantages using Node.js will be, one of them is asynchronous operations, so that you can process multiple operations at the same time with very limited resources. And also when it comes to performance, you can scale out the server farm, and you can have some really good performance testings even in such mock servers. So for example, you are getting prepared for a holiday season or for a campaign, you can just use this mock server without bothering the actual partner endpoint. So there are many things like that, but I will not go into details all of them. But I think Node.js will be a good option here. There will be some other good options as well, but I think this is one of the best. So to manage the node version, we are using NVM. So I just added details here, but my local is ready for that already. So I won't be installing everything. It will be starting maybe here from Express and other packages. So Express is also a web server running on Node.js. It would be very similar to Tomcat, but it is more integrated. Once you install the package into your environment, you will be using that from your files itself. So it's not a separate service. It is not a separate configuration. Everything is included in the same code base. There are some other advantages also for that, but yeah, the main reason we are selecting Express here, it is widely used. You see the preferences here, how frequently it is used or downloaded from repositories. You can see those details. And also critical part is we will come here. It is supporting middleware. Middleware, it will be very critical for such projects. I will give some examples as well. That will be very helpful going forward for some other use cases as well. Joey will be used for schema validation for your API requests, if something is expected or not in the request or not. Even you can validate your responses as well, but I only included request payload verification for now, validation. And Lodash will be also very commonly used. It will be a very handy tool. You don't need to have many checks, like if the value is null, if the value is undefined. So such cases are all taken care by Lodash in many methods. So that is why it is very useful and also fail-safe. So the initial setup will be, we will be initializing the project like this. Okay, it's coming here. So it's very simple. We will be using Node.js version 18. We will be initialize the project. There will be some questions, and we will later see a package JSON file created in our directory. Let's start with this actually. Okay, quickly. Practice will be more meaningful for most of us. Okay, so let's create a new directory. So sample Max server, let's say the name would be 2. Okay, let's go to this directory here and execute the npm init command. Okay, so it will be, as I said, asking some questions: package name, version, description, sample Max server, let's say for IT society folks here. Okay, so this is the main page, starting page, test comment. If you want to add, it will be test. Git repository, we can add later. We can add some keywords. Let's say, add your name here as the author, license, and this is the file created here. Okay, so when I type yes, it will be creating this file here with us. And later, next step is installing the packages. So I said we are using some packages like Express, Joey, and Lodash. Let's install them as well. So for example, so add Joey, Express, what else? Lodash. I have some other packages as well. Moment, short UID. It should be short UID, I believe. Let's see what we use. UUID, short UUID. Anything else we are using here? Moment, schema, Joey. Okay. Include Lodash moment. I think that's all. Yeah, we look good. Okay, installing the packages. Okay. Okay, so I will. I have a sample project here already working fine. I will add another directory here as a second directory, so we can copy and paste and see step by step how it is working. Okay. So Max server 2. Oh no. Okay, so add folder to project. Yeah, that will be better. Nice. Okay. So we need to create our index.js file first here. Okay. So let's go back to the documentation here. We have a hello world code here. I will be copying this and pasting here, and then I will explain what it is. So as I said, we are using Express as the HTTP server here. This is how we initialize the server without any specific parameters. It is just a function call. We have a port to run the service. I will come here, and later we will be launching the web server or application server with the port we defined here. Okay, so it is that simple. Actually, we don't have much. So what we have with the server, we have some routes, of course. So you will have some get calls. You will have some post calls methods, right? And you will be having some routes also, like hello world or ping. So I will just save this like that, okay, and execute that. Okay, it is just Node and index.js. That's all. So one more thing I will explain here, this middleware. This is important. So as I said, this is one of the reasons we are using Node.js for that purpose. So middlewares are different layers before reaching out to these routes, and it will be applicable for all the routes. For example, before coming to this ping, we are executing this express.json. What is happening at that time? It is converting the request payload into JSON object. So when you get the request here, the body part will be a JSON object. So you can traverse into this data and get some fields. For example, message here. You can set the value also, and you can also return back to the same to the user. So how it works here? Let's execute that here. Okay, the service is now running. So I'm coming here again. So there's a very simple API call here. Curl the domain name, the port number, and the route we are using for the API call, and we have a post data. Post data only includes a message. The message is ping. And what happens when we execute that? Let's see. So we are getting a response. Again, we have the message in the response, but the value is pong. So the server received the request, processed that, and replied with something else. So our server is working fine for now. So up to this point, do we have any questions? Okay, nice. Okay, so
sorry.
Yeah.
Where can I find the material for this meeting from Discord?
So you mean this documentation?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have, so we need to update the links, all the links we have, but when you go to go.itsociety.org/sessions here, you will be seeing all the upcoming sessions that we have. So for example, that should be the first one here, because it is in progress here, this one. When you click on this open button, you can see the documentation.
Okay.
Okay. And also, if you want to see more the information about focus groups, you can go to focus groups. I think it should be focus groups, right? No, it is not. Okay, there should be one more URL for that, but I don't have this yet. Go IT Society. Sessions, recordings. So I can provide such details maybe, okay, later
Okay.
in our channel. But the name, maybe Ismail or anybody else recall the URL path for the all sessions. Anyways, that's fine. No worries. I can provide more details. Okay, so let's go to the API collection. So we do have a Postman collection here. It is very simple. We have the route here to get the availability. This is only for pickup. We have the product information. It is in e-commerce literature. It is called SKU. We do have quantity, how many items we want to pick up, and which store we are preferring here. So this is the ID of the store, of course. So customer is selecting human readable name for the store, but it is converted to store ID in between on our backend side. Okay. And second one is postal code, another version of it, variant of it, postal code. We will be having postal code here. And around this postal code, all the available stores will be returned in the API response. Okay. And finally, when we have all the details, so as soon as we receive the data, we are constructing the reservation data under this test section for this specific API call. So line item ID, we are adding here SKU quantity, which store ID has the inventory, and promise date for this specific product. So I do have two API calls here. So when I get the data from here, all of them will be having store ID. Yeah, I think one data is missing here. Promise. Ready for pick update. Okay. Okay, that's good. We can add that later. So after reserving the product, we are getting a reservation ID. This is important because we will be using that ID to reserve the order. Again, we are keeping this here after the call as reservation ID in our environment variable. And finally, we are using this place order section. Additionally, we are adding pickup person name so that store can validate the person. First name, last name, email, and phone. Okay. So this is the Postman collection. For the Postman collection, do we have any questions? Okay, good. So far, so good. Am I going so fast, or what do you think? Are you all able to follow up?
One question here, Mr. Tyson. So I see there are like two different calls, right? The reservation and the other one, like one is get, one is post, I guess, or something.
Yeah, both are post.
Okay, so are they different? Like, are they subsequent calls that we are going to proceed?
No. So, for example, you are visiting the page for the first time. You don't have any store preference, and you want to see the availability for your area. So the web page is in general getting your location, geolocation, and based on your geolocation, deciding on the postal code. So for such users, in general, the first call is with postal code. And we are getting all the availability with for a specific postal store ID here.
Okay.
In the response, we are calling with postal code, but the response will have store ID again. The response won't change. But for example, you are already using this website for some previous orders. You already have a preferred store. Your first call might be with store ID. Your store ID might be coming from the cookie, web browser cookie. And first try will be with store ID. If there is no availability, the backend service can fall back to postal code so that it can get availability from other stores. In general, this is how it works.
Okay.
Okay, so So we don't have that part actually. Our e-commerce platform, of course, we will just having some manual calls like that. But even with manual calls, we can complete the flow here.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so let's go to let's first try to implement the availability part. Okay, I'm just getting data from here, and I will go one by one. Okay. Okay, so this is same route, right? We want partner fulfillment, availability, and pickup. First thing is we are getting the request, but as I said, we are using a middleware to convert the request payload into JSON object. We are getting the SKU. We are getting store ID or postal code, whatever we have, okay? And finally, we are checking previous cached responses that we have. So availability will be used for that purpose. So we need to create any folder here. The folder name will be called data. And under data, we will be having a new file. Let's call the file as availability.js. So a sample data for that, I can get it from here, this section. I will just copy this and add this here. Okay. So for example, what happened here is we received one SKU, and then same request also queried by postal code. This is my postal code. And we decided to return this response later. Okay. And for this like that. Okay. Also, there is another call here. This time, this is by store ID. We decided to return this response, only one store, because we are specifically asking for a specific store, and there is availability for. We decided to have availability for this, and distance will be, of course, 0 because we are querying by store ID, and here we have postal code, and from our postal code to this store, the distance will be here, 6 miles or 10 miles, something like that. Those are also important information for us. Okay, so I need to include that as well here. Constant availability require data and availability. Okay. Okay. So if there is availability, that means we are getting the data from our cache. This is important because the same APIs will be called multiple times throughout the journey. So the customer can start from the first page, second page, cart checkout. The responses should be always consistent. So when we decided to return something availability for a specific SKU, for store ID or postal code, we should be returning the same result always. If we change the distance, if we change the store IDs or availability for each call, it may not be useful for the backend system. So if there is SKU availability, we are setting the SKU availability here, store ID and distance. And setting the availability cache, our cache is here with the same key. So we are copying this and setting the value here. And later, we are setting the promise state inside this SKU availability. I see the issue here, the 0 is missing here. This is the first element, so that should be okay. And finally, we are returning our response. Okay. Do we have any questions for that? So next time we call the same API with the same SKU and postal code or store ID, whatever, we will be returning the response from cache. We will not be calculating it again and again. Okay, so let's restart the server. Let's go back to our Postman collection. Okay, sending the data. Okay, so we are using Lodash here. We need to add Lodash also. Lodash is required in general with underscore. This is a common practice. Other libraries are used by its name, but for Lodash, this is like that. Anything else that the moment will be there. Constant moment require moment. Okay, so I think we should be all good. Nothing is missing here. Okay, let's restart the server. Okay. Okay, we are getting availability with promise ready for pickup date. So the issue also fixed here. So, okay, let's see what happens if I call the same API, okay? With the same payload. Again, we are getting same store and same distance and same, this can change because this is dynamic based on your, this is called cutoff time. If you are before cutoff time, it will be in general same day. After cutoff time, it will be next day. And it is always reliably returning the same response. Let's go to postal code case here. Okay, so this time we got the availability for 105. I think same store. This is just random value. We edit here, but looks like it selected the same value, but distance has changed. So distance, again, a random value between 0 and 50. So we are getting a different distance here. Okay, this time the promise pickup, this date is added. I think, yeah, something might be missing because this is sometimes coming, sometimes not coming. We can take a look into this later, maybe. There might be a small bug. Okay, so this API is working fine for now. This is enough for our purposes. So second API will be reservation. Okay, so reservation code is, so data is something like that. Okay, I am adding reservation data here. So the data we are caching here, there will be a reservation ID. This order ID is coming from the client side, an order date, and other details also. They are all coming from client side, based on the availability being queried just before this call. They should be all originally coming from the partner side, but we are adding those into reservation call again, and to reserve the items. Okay. Okay, let's go to the API route, how it is implemented. I'm just copying this part again, adding this to our index. So this is our new route now. Okay, reservation. So we are creating reservation ID as soon as we receive the request. And if we are getting the request body from the request itself, and we are extending this object, this blob, with reservation ID. And later we are returning reservation ID, success, and message, and keeping this reservation in our reservation cache. So what we need to do is we need to load reservation data again here. Reservations. Yeah, I think it's good now. Let's start the server. Okay. So let's call this reservation API now. This is the body, how we are calling the API. Okay, short is not defined again. Constant, another missing library. Okay, so we have a reservation ID now. Okay. So that means we reserved our order. It can wait for maybe an hour or so that all other checks can be completed on the e-commerce platform side. Okay, so next thing will be creating the order. So order data will be something like that. It will be very similar to reservation, but additionally, up to this point, down to this point, it is very similar to reservation. But we are adding internal order ID assigned to this specific data. And also we are adding pickup person, which is coming from the request payload. Okay, so let's copy this and add that to data as well again. Okay, and let's go to index.js and copy this section. And let's put it here under index.js. Okay, so we are checking if there is a reservation or not. This is important. So our service should be stateful, right? If reservation is not created already, we should not be creating order. We should have some checks. And we are returning a reservation not found error here. If everything is good, we are able to reach out to reservation. We will be setting orders data with reservation. We are extending order data with whatever we received from the request, pickup person, and also we are extending it with internal order ID. All of them will be part of the order. And we will be setting reservation, unsetting reservation. This is also important because the same reservation should not be used for any other orders later. We can test that. And finally, we are returning order data. Now we cleared our cache for reservation and we created another cache for our order. Okay, so let's see what is missing. Orders data, it is missing. So I need to add orders here as data. Okay, so let's start server. Okay, so I have a reservation here, right? Should I go to place order and use this reservation? What do you think? Any comments? Okay, so it will not be possible because mock servers are in general called as also sandbox, right? You should be aware of sandbox, how it works, right? So when you restart the sandbox, nothing will be remaining. So actually, even if we are caching the data, we are not retaining the data in any file system or database. It is just volatile data. So this reservation ID will not be available now after the restart. So when I call the same API, it will say reservation not found. Okay. So I need to go to reservation again for the same 9 items. Reservation ID and place order later with the same reservation ID. And it is working fine now. So we were able to complete the journey up to this point. Any questions for the flow? Okay. Okay, so next thing will be some security mechanisms. So Abdullah asked for the same, right? How we can make sure that these connections are secure. So we will be leveraging middlewares here. Okay, so middleware is a very simple structure. I will show one use case here. So I just need to create a new directory under this part. Let's call this as middlewares. Okay, and under that middleware, let's copy this O out, okay? And I will explain how it works. Okay, so this is just a function like that. it is accepting request and response as we are doing in the route. But additionally, we have a next here. This is important. When we ingest this middleware into the flow, it is executing whatever needs to be done here. It can have some validation, it can throw some errors, but if everything is good from the payload and headers standpoint, we will be moving to the next middleware. And the final middleware will be the route itself here. So this is also another middleware. But this will be the final one, and we are returning the response here. If something is not going well with the, which file is this? I need to close this one, I believe. I think this one is ours. Yeah. Okay, so if everything looks good here, we are just returning or executing next. Otherwise, we are returning something. And returns will break the flow. We will not be going to the other middlewares. So how it helps with authentication here. Okay. So we have another API called get token here. I'm not sure you are familiar with OAuth or not, but the simple structure of OAuth is something like that. You have a route like this, and you will have some payload data. It's just a post call, grant type, scope, and everything. We will not be checking them for now for this mock server. And the critical part here is, in the header, you are sending an authorization header. This is the value we are sending here. For our use case, how we are using or how we are setting this value, it is something like your client ID, your client secret, and comma in between, not this column in between. So let's say, for example, I can show one example here from OAuth data here. Okay, I can get this. I can put it here and show you. So credential will be like that. So client will be IT Society, secret will be hands-on session 2023. So in between there will be a column, and this data also based 64 encoded version of it. If you decode this version, this data, you will be seeing those values actually. So just a quick check here. Let's go to base 64 decode. Paste here, decode. Yeah, you'll see the same values. Client ID, client secret, and column in between. Okay, so this will be our data. Okay. So let's go to OAuth.js. So first we are checking the route. If client is calling OAuth interface, we need to provide a token to the custom new token. Okay. So we are trying to get the authentication header from the request. We are parsing it. We are getting client and secret here after this parse operation. And we are checking if this client ID is available in our database and the secret value is correct. If that is not the case, we are returning unauthorized here immediately. So you cannot get any token for that. So if this API is not, the URL is not like that, and other URLs, like our availability, reservation, and other APIs, it falls into the second bucket here. This time we will be receiving token again from the header. So let's go to one example here, pick up availability and header. You see this time authorization, the first value will be bearer, and token will be here. And not the client ID and secret payer, but it will be token for the other APIs. So this time we will be checking the token in our DB after creating that. And we are checking the validity, if it is still valid or not. It is in general valid for an hour. Okay. And if that is not the case, if token is not found, or if it is already expired, this time we are returning expired message. Okay. So of course we need to add the route also for the authentication. it should be coming from here. Yeah, this one. It is very simple. The reason it is simple is most of the things are already taken care by the middleware, right? We already checked the client secret is correct or not, right? We are just creating the token here, and we are setting the value through that date. But before sending this to the customer to the client, we are setting this in our cache. So next time we receive a request with this token, it will be valid, and it will be valid for an hour. Okay. Saving this file. And also another thing is, of course, I edit route, I edit middleware implementation as well, but I forgot one thing. It is middleware requirement. This will be the middleware. OAuth. It is very simple to call here. I will add here with the other middleware. So this is the order it will be executed. It will be first parsed, and then OAuth middleware will be used. Okay, so it is time to restart, looks like. Okay, I need to inquire that as well. Constant OAuth require middleware OAuth. Okay, and next thing will be I need to load OAuth data to set the cache. It should be here. And it will be OAuth. Yeah, correct. Okay, let's start now. Isn't it correct? Let me check quickly. Okay, it is just OAuth, I believe. Okay, so what is wrong here? Okay, so this one. Okay, so let's copy everything from here again. So I think it should be the same, right? Okay, let's see. Okay, schema. Schema is missing. I see the problem. Okay. Do we have a schema need here? You know what? We don't, right? Okay, this is the issue. Okay. Okay, it is working fine now. Okay, let's see how it works. So first thing, I will try to call the same API. So I'm getting a failure, right? Because our middleware blocked the request in the first place because we don't have a valid token here. Let's get the token. What is happening here? We are calling this API, and after that, I am setting one environment variable here called token. And later, when it comes to here, this request, I'm using the same value here as authorization. Okay. So calling this now, I got the token. So for the ones already familiar with Postman, probably you can see the values here, right? So token will be here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. So this time I will be calling this method. API, and value is here. When I send the request, it is working fine now. All the APIs are protected by OAuth. So I will go to second one. Again, same token will be used. All the APIs are using the same authorization token. And when it comes to reserve, again, I reserved. And finally, I place the order. And this is also simple OAuth implementation for your APIs. As you see, it is very limited number of codes, just maybe a couple of 10 lines, but it is working as expected. I also added another use case here for middlewares. This is for schema validation. For example, are you sending first name, last name, email, or are you sending unnecessary data? That will be also taken care by the other middleware. I will share the GitHub link in our channel again, so you can take a look how it is implemented. And also there's one case study here. Again, if you are wondering how it works, actually, if you want to spend more time here, so what it should be, so where it is, let me see. Not able to find the page. Okay. Notion. Yeah, this one. Okay. So one case study here, you can implement when you create the order, you can auto-generate your order updates, as I explained here, right? So you will be getting some updates from your client, from your partner. It will be time-triggered updates, of course. After some time, for example, items can be ready for pickup. It can be picked up. It can be refused. That means customer didn't pick up the item. You can have some such scenarios for different combinations. For example, if the order ID is ending with 0, you can have one case. Ending with 1, you can have another case. And when this API is called, you can get different events for the same request. So this is the case study. I think, yeah, that's all from my end for this simple mock server. I will share all details, including the link for this page as well, as I said in Discord, on Discord. Do we have any questions?
Nope. Thanks for the presentation. It was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.